What's up, Internet? It's the dumbass Panicos Gaming, and we're starting another shiny hunt. Big surprise there. So, we're going to start working on Galarian, Stunfisk, which I should probably move eggs on my party before I get moving. So yeah, 5 more, Galarian forms, and we'll have all of them, which is pretty awesome. And that's what I forgot to do. I forgot to turn, or not turn off, but, set Discord to, be in streamer mode so it doesn't make noise on me. Sorry, I figure I should probably actually respond to this since we're already here. Alright. Oh, no, that's right. So, when I started doing this, I was stupid, and I didn't have all my, like, party spots filled, so the eggs went into my party first, and so I didn't realize until I heard it start hatching in the background. I was like, oh, well then, I should probably deal with that. Actually, what did I do with that other one? I guess I just released it. Whatever, close enough. Technically, I've hatched one more than what you see here. I'm not worried about it. I mean, realistically, at some point I've encountered some of these, or, you know, whatever the various things are, so... You know, technically, my counter should probably be a little bit higher, but also, yeah, anyways. But yeah. Just trying to think. I don't think there's been any updates with Pokemon stuff since, yesterday. Because I think yesterday, or the day before, whichever it was, we had the big preview day, where a bunch of, sites and channels got, like, early access for, like, an hour to the game. But yeah, just on my end, if you notice the webcam, the frame around it now, instead of it being like a rainbow, border to it, well, now it's still a rainbow, but it's shifting between the colors of the rainbow instead of just being like a rainbow gradient. I spent way too long doing that. And also the, like, actual text, like, the outline of it somewhat matches the rest of the branding. It's not exactly the same. I really need to, like, go and unify that or something, but for now it's fine. I mean, it's small enough that you're not going to notice. But yeah, I was going to do a similar thing as well with the all the, like, info pop-ins that I have come in during the stream. So, like, you know, the living decks, the shiny decks progress, all that stuff. I do need to rethink that a little bit, because I did finish one of those, and it didn't come out very good. It probably is fine, but basically I made all of the text just like the color that it's shifting through, and it doesn't quite work, because it's just, it doesn't look as good as, like, the webcam frame does. But also, I think it's a little bit... Some of the text is too small to really do an outline on. So, we'll see what happens there. I have an idea of what I'm going to do for it. Hopefully it won't look too bad. Yeah, slowly working on that stuff. And I am updating my, the super effective Living Dex page is getting updated with new shinies and stuff, and the, or as I get new shinies. And I am updating the new cards that I'm working on. The ones that you see on stream are still outdated. I really should just turn those off, to be honest. Especially the stuff that's like, hey, streams Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, technically it's not wrong, because I do stream on those days, but I also stream Wednesday and Thursday. That's interesting. Anyways. Did I count that one? Yep. I don't think I counted that last one. I noticed I had more Discord messages. I figured I would look at it real quick. Not going to take the time to respond to it right now, though, because we got shinies to hunt. Yeah, we'll see how many I do today. I know I keep saying I'll do 250 and then I don't do 250, so we'll do at least 150 for sure. I'll just see where we go from there. Who knows, maybe I'll get really lucky and I'll get the shiny. That would be nice. But yeah, I did skip Galarian Yamask for right now because it is kind of part of the event right now for Pokemon Go, and the shiny was added for this event for it. So if I can get lucky with that and get that, then I'll, you know, hunt for that one. But if I don't, then I'll not hunt for that one because I'll have it already. But if I don't get it, then that's fine. We can hunt for it later. So for right now, assuming I can, depending on how fast I get these shinies, but kind of every time, I don't know why it is that I ride like on the bottom edge here of this bridge. I really don't know why it is that like I'm so attracted to the bottom. There is a sex joke there, and we're not going to go into that anyways. But yeah, so we'll probably do a Stunfisk, and then Slowpoke, another Darumaka, the other Slowpoke that I still need, so my third shiny Slowpoke at that point, and then the Galarian Yamask. I might wait to do that till after the Slowpoke, no matter what, even if like somehow this hunt takes me like the rest of the month. If this hunt takes me 8 days, I'm gonna be, well, how many streams is that gonna be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, if this takes me 7 more streams to get it, or 7 total streams to get it, I'm gonna be a little sad. Though I guess, to be fair, there could be a wild area event. I don't think there will be. It's kind of doubtful, because they did the event for the horses from Crown Tundra that you can't catch. Hey, Game Freak, for the raids in Scarlet and Violet, please don't fucking do that again. They've done it a few times, and it just sucks that they do that, man. The only one that didn't completely suck was when they did Zero Aura, and that was because if a million people, or if there was like a million Zero Aura raids that were done, or something, it was a lot, it might not have been that many, everyone who participated got a free shiny Zero Aura, so that's fine. Like, stuff like that where it's like, yeah, if you do a bunch of them, then we'll give out a shiny. Okay, that's cool. I should probably double check and make sure that isn't the case this time, but I'm pretty sure it's not. But like, I like that, but just like having these events where it's like a legendary Pokemon and you can't catch it, it's just like, why? It just sucks, especially because, again, 90% of the time there's boosted shiny odds in these. So like when there isn't, it's kind of really disappointing. They've done, I know, Zero Aura, but again, that one, at least you got the distribution if you participated. They did Mewtwo, which at least that one, I will say, that was a very hard raid to complete. So it's like, well, you know, it's like a challenge. So like, okay, that's cool. Still would rather like have it, you know, not be dumb, but like just let the Mew be shiny, or have shiny odds potentially. Even if it's going to be, like, super hard, you know? Just, like, why? Why do this to us? Or not Mew, but Mewtwo. And then, yeah, for sure Urshifu, for sure the horses. I don't remember if they did it for any others. I feel like there has been something that you couldn't catch in the past, though. Besides, like, those ones. Yeah, I would really like if there was another wild area event before that gets shut down, but we really only have one weekend for that to happen. Because the horses event ends today, I believe. And then, in theory, there shouldn't be anything for the rest of the weekend, or for the rest of the week. And then, maybe there'll be something over next weekend. The fact that this one is one weekend kind of helps the odds of that, but also the fact that it would be back-to-back weekends also really hurts it. Double check that. I do want to, like, check real quick, actually, that there's not a... I'm, like, 99% sure there's no real reason to do this. Oh, you know what? I don't even have to do it in this. Let me check the actual news, because if there's, like, something for that, there'll be news for it. Pair and Max Ray, team up, defeat, obtain, counter, switching it, yeah, there's nothing about it. So if there was like a thing same as they did with the Zero Aura, then it would say it in there. Well, that sucks. Yeah, maybe we could see something like that with, like, maybe I don't think this will happen, but maybe we could see, like, shiny Calyrex will be in next weekend's event. I don't know why they would do that for Halloween, though. So I would imagine not. But I would love for there to be an event for Trevenant or Phantom. Because Trevenant has a really sick shiny. And obviously with Phantom I can get 2 of them. Though, being a trade evolution, that does make it a little bit harder. But, you know, we still know... Ooh. I don't know that there was any sort of linking cable that was confirmed in what, like, the previewers got to see in Scarlet and Violet. But kind of like the breeding, that doesn't mean that it isn't there. It's just that, you know, it doesn't confirm it, which sucks. But, you know, it's entirely possible that's just like a mechanic that was outside the scope of what they were trying to do for what they were showing off at the moment. So, we'll see. I do really hope there is normal breeding, though. Even, like, I would love for them to have, like, crazy good odds, like Legends Arceus, but then they'll also have breeding, so you have the option. So we'll just have to see on that. I never noticed how annoying the dripping sound in this song is. Jesus. Alright. So it would be... if I could get a quick shiny today, I'd be so happy. Just like shinies on back-to-back streams. Make my life so much easier. But, you know, we'll just have to see. Hopefully we get it, though. That would be really nice. And then I would only have to get 4 shinies in a tad over 3 weeks. Like, in theory, especially doing 5 streams a week, a shiny a week should not really be an issue. Like, doing 250 eggs a stream, that would be, you know, over 1,200 eggs a week. So, like, you know, wouldn't be too hard. And even if, like, I do, like, 150 eggs on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then 250 on the others, that's still, like, just under 1,000, you know? Which, so, double odds. Like, on average, I should definitely be seeing a shiny every week. But, with how, you know, Galarian Corsola went, who knows? Yeah, I hadn't realized. I guess Legends Arceus had really, like, messed up my perception of how many shinies that I've bred for. Because I've not gotten that many shinies on stream. I think I've gotten more shinies through breeding on stream anyways. I think I've gotten more Galarian forms as shinies through breeding than, like, everything else together. What's up, Reverse Dawn? Welcome back. Appreciate you coming back in. See, I don't know. I thought I had bred a lot more, but I was looking at my list of the, how long some of my hunts have taken. I was like, wow, I actually haven't done as many as I thought I had in the last year. But there's also been a lot of wild area events, and obviously Legends Arceus was cracked, so... Am I using that term right? Sorry, I'm a fucking boomer at this point. You're doing okay, glad to hear it. Yeah, we're just starting up Stunfisk here. I did kind of skip over Yamask, because I've been doing them in order. As how they're shown on, like, you know, Living Dex sites and stuff, but, being that Yamask is part of the current Pokemon Go event, and there is the shiny available in that, I decided I'll just hold off on it for a little bit. Let me double check that I moved eggs back over. I think I did. Yeah. It's pretty much every time I get paranoid about that. Which, I mean, it doesn't take too long to check, so it's probably a good thing to double check, but still. I do have to say, Galarian Stunfisk probably has, like... It's probably one of the better shinies in terms of, like, not being, like, super over the top as a shiny, but still looking better than, like, the original. Because I don't like the, like, the green on the normal Galarian Stunfisk. But, like, the orange on the shiny one actually looks really good, in my opinion. Which is funny, because it's just based on the normal, or the original, like, Stunfisk colors. Alright, One more. Alright, I need to get some more caffeine in me. Honestly, I'm probably not as tired as I usually am, but I still worked all day, and now it's 1 in the morning, so, you know, still gonna be a little bit tired. But once the energy drink kicks in, I should be okay. Oh, damn it. Reminds me, I didn't do my daily check of, if there's any new Intel GPUs on sale. Because I was gonna get my buddy, the one that I'm working on his car, I was gonna have him buy one for me. Just as like a, hey, here's how you can help repay me. But I think at this point, if I see one that like is available and I want it, I'm just gonna purchase it. And he can just pay me back in cash for the, you know, for the work that I'm actually doing for him. But that stuff is, we've gotten pretty much all of it done. It still needs a couple little things, and then the last big thing is downpipe and tune, and we have to do both of those at the same time, so that's like, he's gonna have to save up a little bit of money to do that at the same time. So that probably won't happen until after Christmas or so. And I kind of wish there was more Pokemon news to talk about. I wish not everyone... I know why everyone did this, because obviously the embargo for their information they gathered during the preview session was lifted, but like, kind of wish that everyone would have trickled it out instead of dropping it all at once, so there'd be like more things to talk about. So I think I've covered pretty much everything about it. There's like some little nitpicky things, but nothing too major. So I am thinking about my streaming schedule. My friend bought a modified R32 and it has a Scania delivery truck turbo. Depending on how new that turbo is, it might be better than the stock system. The twin turbos on the Sky... Well... I guess I should ask, is it a Skyline GTR or just a normal Skyline? Because, yeah, the twin turbos on the GTR were, they were cool at the time. But, man, has that stuff come a long way. So it's a normal? Ah, okay. Was the, were those turbo from the factory? I don't remember. I don't think they were. Pretty sure they weren't. But, I mean, pretty much any of, like, the 90s Japanese stuff will take power to some extent. Because all of those companies were, over-engineering their stuff. What's up, Lazy King? Turbo is swapped on it. Oh, okay. But yeah, that sounds pretty rowdy. And since it's not the GTR, so it's just rear-wheel drive, right? You guys are switching or playing the game now? Nice. Yep, nice. Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of GTR like versions are getting actually swapped now to rear-wheel drive because it's just like, well, honestly, it's probably just as good in a lot of situations. It's probably like, it's not as easy to drive necessarily because it, you know, you aren't spreading the power across 4 wheels, but you also are shedding a lot of weight by doing that. Yeah, I would love to pick up a just a normal Skyline and just like go nuts with it. Just to have like a stupid like drift and burnout car. But I mean, I don't know. I wonder how those things are for importing right now. Because like GTRs are gone. Those are so out of the realm of affordable right now. That's not even funny. Even the R34s that you can't even import yet are super fucking expensive because everyone's buying them up before they're ready to import so they can get them in as soon as they can. But I wonder how the normal ones are, because I don't know how many of the like normal Skylines that Nissan sold. But I know there's 1 or 2 that are around here in Phoenix that I've seen floating around. Again, not GTRs or anything, but that's fine, because it's, you know, the more affordable version of, like, the dream car. I do wish a number of years ago I would have saved up some money and bought one of those K trucks. Or key trucks, however you're supposed to say it. Something like a Hi-Jet or something like that. Because, I mean, honestly, you can get them, like, imported for, like, $5 grand total. And, like, yeah, you're not going over, like, 60 on the highway, but it's just a dumb little car to just, like, put around in. And everyone's gonna look and be like, what the fuck are you driving? Wait a second, why are you on the wrong side of the car driving it? What's going on here? Would have been fun. But I don't have the money to do that right now, and even if I did, I guarantee the prices on that have gone through the roof because more people learning more about importing the cars and stuff like that, plus car prices are so fucking absurd and everywhere right now. Better off converting an old Camry to rear-wheel drive and LS and calling it a drifter. I mean, definitely want to start with something that was rear-wheel drive from the factory, at least. Because, like, in theory, with enough sawzalls and, you know, welding material, yeah, you can, you know, make anything into anything. But That's a lot of cutting out transmission tunnels and shit. Like, a lot of shit that goes into that. But yeah, any, like, just like any shitbox car that you can, like, just turn into a poon machine and just, like, toss it around is just like, yeah, that's kind of ideal. That way, if you slam it into a wall or something, you're not really too worried about it, because it's like, well, I paid like $1,000 for the body, so, eh. I mean, I shouldn't say that. That's still a lot of money, but, you know, it's not like if you're wrecking, you know, something somewhat valuable in terms of cars. Just old Interceptor. Yeah, get a Crown Vic. Do a Coyote swap on it. Mm-hmm. The problem is, way too many people have caught on to that as well, so the prices of used Crown Vics are also, like, stupid. And that's the ones that aren't already fucking destroyed because everyone else is doing it. Or because Cletus McFarland has already bought all of them and wrecked all of them. Yeah, like, even, like, an old, like, Chevy work truck would honestly work pretty fine, too. As long as you don't put too grippy of tires on it, just thrash that thing around. It already has an LS in it, you know. You just have to be careful not to try and do anything too fast, or you will roll it. But, I mean, if you do roll it, you still have an LS. So, you know, you already have your engine ready for the next car. Fortunately, with how many of those fucking trucks got built, that was like one that it might take a little bit longer for that to become as much of a problem as Crown Vics became. The other thing is, like, people kind of notice that, like, as, you know, the Crown Vic after the, most police departments weren't getting any new ones anymore, so they were swapping to their, like, most of them doing, like, the Explorer. So it's like a lot of those cars were already in junkyards or whatever and just, like, not in great shape. Whereas the work trucks, I mean, one, again, it's an LS, so, like, the motor is gonna be pretty damn reliable for a long time. And if it's not, the parts for it are cheap as shit. Camrys, etc. never go. Well, right now, everything is out of hand on pricing. Fucking completely rusted out shitbox is still going for like $3 grand on fucking anything because just car prices are stupid right now. But yeah, I mean, most of the stuff that's like gonna take like a lot of work to make it anything interesting or fun is yeah, those aren't really gonna end up getting, you know, the drift tax or whatever. I mean, that's why, like, the Crown Vics were great, because they're already wheel drive, you know. It's already, you know, you don't have to do any fabrication if you do want to do a Coyote swap, but if you don't, you know, it already has a V8 in it, so it's like, you got room to work with it. And it's, you know, pretty much anything that's rear-wheel drive from the factory is going to be good to go for that, but people have kind of figured that out. Especially if they've realized that all of their dream cars, like, you know, any of the Nissans or stuff like that is like, well, those are all expensive, or they're already super wrecked, or, you know, it's just like, it's a mess to find them, so it's, everyone's already scrambled to all the alternatives. Now, speaking of that, I've not heard anything really bad about the 400Z. Or I guess it's just the Nissan Z, huh? They dropped the number moniker part of it. But it's basically the 400Z, the brand new one. It's nice that we got what could potentially be one of the last, like, sports cars with a stick shift. Actually, I guess I shouldn't say that. I think the, for now, the next-gen Mustang is going to have manual transmission. It is already kind of, like, talked about that they might end up dropping that in the next couple of years after the new gen comes out. Because just people don't care about it. Which, like, sucks for drifting, but also for most other stuff. I mean, the dual clutch stuff is just better, so... At least in terms of performance. And let's be honest, most Mustangs are either being just highway driven, or, you know, just normal street driven, or they're doing, like, drag strip stuff. So, like, any of those cases, you don't really need the manual trans anyways. Never owned automatic. It's fine depending on what it is. The other thing is that automatic kind of gets to be a confusing term right now, because there's old school automatics where it's like there's a torque converter, and so it's very, you know, there's a power loss, and it's kind of not a... I don't know, I want to say it. It's kind of like soft when you like hit the gas at times. But then there's the other way of automatic where it's a manual transmission. It's just a computer doing everything. The computer's doing all the clutch work, which is like what you're gonna see typically in like your high-end sports cars. But like it's come down to the other stuff. Actually, it's come down to the super cheap stuff. It was in the Ford Fiesta, and Ford's getting sued because that transmission was a steaming pile of shit, and they knew it was a steaming pile of shit. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, you know, old, like, slush box automatic, yeah, those kind of suck. The newer ones where it's just an automated manual, those are nice. Obviously, again, you lose, you know, some of the rowing gears and shit, but just in terms of performance, yeah, there's no comparison. And there's no universe where you can shift faster than the computer does. You know, sorry. For all the people that wanted to bitch complain about the C8 Corvette only being automatic. It's like, I could shift faster than any automatic. No, you fucking can't. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. An old slush box? Maybe. You can't shift in literal milliseconds, so please just be quiet. And also, like, I don't know how many people were buying manual Corvettes anyways. I don't know how... There aren't many manual cars being sold anymore at all. You know, outside of a handful of the sports cars, like, it's... No one's buying them. That's why they're stopping making them. If people bought them, they would keep making them. Something like 2-speed GM Paraglide. Yeah, okay, well, Paraglide's also its own... It is an automatic, but, you know... That has its own purpose. Those can be good for drag racing, that's for sure. And it can always be worse than an automatic. You could always get a CVT, you know, if you really just want to hate enjoying driving. Which is funny, because a CVT, in theory, has, like, the top potential in terms of performance, right? Because you can just keep the engine RPM at exactly the peak power, and then just adjust your gear ratio to the infinite degree that you need to. Or near infinite degree that you need to, but no one does it like that, and so they all are just boring as shit and suck to drive, because they're all just designed for fuel economy. Which, like, I get it, but also, again, like, you have, like, this could be fantastic for fucking performance. Again, much like going to the automated manuals, it's, you know, you're losing even more of the driving feel there, but again, in terms of just like pure power, it's gonna be better. Automatic are faster, but they cannot predict runs. Right, but that's why you have the paddles. Like, that's the thing, like, those people don't understand. Literally, in the time that you've like moved your hand to go and grab the gear select or the shifter or whatever, you would already be in the next gear, you know? It's just, I get it. Like, I totally get it in terms of, like, wanting it for, you know, enjoying the drive. I get that 100%, but the fact of the matter is, they aren't selling that much outside of, like, the BRZ and the Nissan Z and stuff like that, you know? And it's hard for the companies to justify, you know, designing new manual transmissions for that stuff when, like, some of those cars aren't going to be super high volume anyways, let alone high volume with the manual trans. It sucks, though. Let's be honest, I mean, realistically, I wonder what's going to come first, everything going all electric or everything going all automatic. I think it might be the all electric at this point, because I think there'll probably be a couple of holdouts for manuals, like Nissan, but there's not much that you're going to be able to do about the electric vehicles. Which, you know, is another fantastic situation for, again, CVT, because most of those electric motors make buttloads of torque down in the low RPM. So if you can keep it down there for longer where it has all the torque, then, like, you know. But once again, so many of those right now are still no concern about performance. They're just, which I get, because the battery life isn't there, so you kind of have to be more concerned about mileage, but that's gonna keep changing, especially if any, like, the stuff about the solid state batteries, if any of that ends up working out and being reasonable. I mean, those things are gonna be pretty damn good. But we'll see. Definitely interesting times in the car world. Alright, almost 3 boxes in. I do have to say, I definitely do like how much faster this goes when I collect eggs. Because, like, it isn't quite twice as fast to do it. but it's definitely significantly faster. Also, Jesus, I did just realize I'm already like a third of the way through. Because the plan's to go to 250 eggs. I don't see why I would go to 150 only tonight. I'm not that tired or anything, but having now said that, we'll see what happens. Hey, what's up, Mad Hatter? Welcome to the stream. Just working on some Galarian Stunfisk right now. You got a full odds Rookity in 8 hours? Nice. Yeah, I have no interest in doing more full odds shiny hunts. The ones that like I have to do right now for like some of the stuff like the Reggies and Shaman and Darkrai and Arceus and BDSP, those are gonna be about the most I can do. So anything that I can breed to make it a little bit faster, or if I can get in Legends Arceus, yeah, that's gonna be the route for me. You like Stunfisk? Yeah, I like Galarian Stunfisk a lot. You're on to Galarian Zigzagoon. Hey, I just got a bunch of those. I was working on that a couple of hunts ago, and then once I got it, I had a bunch of eggs left over, and off stream I hatched those, and I got like 4 more. I was like, okay, cool. Played through Sword using only Cleffa? God, that sounds miserable. Did I move eggs over? I did, okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever really do a challenge run in a Pokemon game. I think the most I might do is like a randomizer. Especially if it's like a game that I've already played, but I'm just replaying it again. Just using a randomizer to mix it up a little bit could be a lot of fun. But we'll see. Any playthrough stuff right now is on hold, because I need all my Galarian forms. That's the main thing I'm working on. I'm trying to get the last of the Galarian forms that I'm missing shiny before the new games come out. So I still need Stunfisk, Slowpoke and Slowking, Darmanitan, and Yamask. So, hopefully we'll get them. And then, yeah, once Scarlet and Violet are out, obviously I'm going to be all in on playing through those. So maybe sometime after that I can start thinking about emulators or something. Doing the shiny only challenge helps kill 2 birds with 1 stone, because you're Continue your shiny dex, nice. Yeah, one day maybe I'll get up to having a at least mostly complete shiny dex. It's gonna be a long time on that though. We basically beat an Ultra Sun with Incineroar only. Yeah, Incineroar did like 95% of the work. Yeah, that's how I played through Let's Go Eevee. The playthrough that I just did of that. This wasn't a challenge run at all, but I basically only used Eevee because the Eevee, as well as the Pikachu and Let's Go Pikachu, that thing is broken. It has like maxed out IVs no matter what. And it gets access to some really just busted moves. Like, you know, 90 base power, 100 accuracy, guaranteed paralyze, and stuff like that. Plus, I mean, Let's Go Eevee is not exactly hard. But it was fun, though. At least until I got to the end where I was trying to catch the legendaries and Zapdos was just... Oh, it was like half Zapdos was being a pain in the ass, and also motion controls are a pain in the ass. And it's just like... Catching Pokemon in that game stresses me out. Yeah, it's... For the most part, it's not too bad, but... God, when it's like any of the flying Pokemon that like move around a lot, especially Zapdos because it's like jittery, it's like... It like jumps around a little bit. It's just... Oh my god. Plus, like, even if you use berries on it, it does the thing where it just like burns off the effect of the berry, and it's just like, okay, cool. That was a good waste. Yeah, I was getting a little frustrated with that. Fortunately, the rest of the legendaries weren't too bad. It was just the Zapdos was just kicking my ass. And 90% of that was just like, it'd be like up in the right corner, so I'd try and throw it that way and the ball goes to the left, and it's just like, cool. You did Zapdos, huh? Not for a legendary or anything. Or, sorry, not legendary. Not for a shiny or anything. Just as part of the playing through Let's Go Eevee, I caught all of the legendaries in it. I will still need to go and get a shiny Zapdos at some point. But that's a future me problem. Especially now knowing that, or at least it was confirmed by a representative from Game Freak during the preview stuff that the AI and the raids in Scarlet and Violet is going to be a lot better. I don't know if I could ever really go back to Dynamax Adventures. That AI, man. You have a shiny Zapdos? Nice. I have a shiny Galarian Zapdos, but that was given away for an online competition, so that wasn't really a hunt so much as I just had to go BS my way through 3 battles, and I was given one for free. A shiny is a shiny, yeah. I mean, that's the only way to get shiny Galarian Zapdos, too. So it's not like, you know, I took the easy way, because that's the only way. But I am disappointed, though, that because it was a distribution, I couldn't rename it. Because I really wanted to rename it, Boko. After the Chocobo in Final Fantasy Tactics. Being that, I mean, Shiny Galarian Zapdos is basically a Chocobo. But since it was a distribution, you couldn't rename those. Yeah, hopefully during Scarlet and Violet we get some more of the still shiny locked legendaries from Sword and Shield. Like Calyrex or Urshifu, stuff like that. It would be nice if just they weren't shiny locked to begin with, but, you know, what are you gonna do? That's stupid, it shouldn't be a thing, I don't like that's a thing. No amount of complaining about it is gonna make Game Freak change, so... Like, I was hopeful after a BDSP came out, because it was like, yeah, it was technically not Game Freak that made the game, but there were no shiny locks. Basically no shiny locks. The Gift Mew and the Gift Jirachi were, but like, okay, that's not too big of a deal. But everything else you can shiny hunt in BDSP. And it's like, oh, god, maybe that'll be the norm from now on. And then Legends Arceus came out and all of the legendaries are shiny locked. Not just the like brand new ones. It's like, okay, cool. Thanks. Appreciate it. You want shiny Zacian with your own trainer name? Yeah. But yeah, I kind of can't wait for, like, all of the Pokemon to be, like, confirmed for, Scarlet and Violet. Like, all the Pokemon that are going to be in it, have that list be confirmed, so that way I can start looking at, like, alright, what am I still going to have to breed in BDSP, so I can, like, do as little of that as possible. It's a shame, like... I don't know, I liked BDSP. My biggest, like, complaint about it was how easy it is, and then you get to the Elite Four, and it's just, like, ridiculous all of a sudden. There's a massive, like, difficulty jump there for... I'm not gonna say no reason, but, like, it should have been more evenly done throughout the playthrough. Not suddenly you get to Cynthia and be like, alright, lube up. So, that was, like, my biggest complaint about it, but also it just, I don't know, it, like, didn't do that much for me. Like, I liked the upgraded underground stuff, but also, like, there wasn't much reason to do it after a little bit. Because, like, the statue stuff, who gives a shit? The shiny hunting is, like, okay, 1 in 2,000 odds, cool. Like, it's not terrible to do it, but, like... It just wasn't that interesting. And then Poke Radar just sucked to do because they nerfed the hell out of it from the original game, so it just, like, instead of being like a 45% chance that you'd get the best shiny odds, it was only a 5%, and it's just like, ah, fuck that. Like, I tried to do it. That's why I, like, ended up giving up on Ditto. Or not, I didn't give up. I ran out of repels, but it was just, you know, that's why I never went back to it after that, because that just wasn't enjoyable. And then even like breeding in a BDSP, it's just like, it's slower than Sword and Shield. So if you can do it in Sword and Shield, why would you do it in BDSP? And like for any of the Pokemon that were introduced to Gen 4, well, they're all in Legends Arceus too. So like, you know, might as well just shiny hunt them there, where it's going to be even faster than breeding in Sword and Shield. It's just like... Plus the fact that Legends Arceus came out like 2 months later and just kind of absolutely blew it out of the water in terms of, you know, just being a fun game. So it's just like, BDSP just never had a chance. And that's a shame, because I mean, it wasn't terrible, it just wasn't great. It didn't really do anything special, which might have been okay by itself, but it just immediately got smothered. Plus the, like, taking almost... Not even almost. It took 6 months for Pokemon Home to support it, so it was like, I couldn't even shiny hunt for, you know, breeding for a long time, because, you know, there's, like, a bunch of stuff. I was just waiting for the update so I could transfer stuff over. And then even after that, I had to go and mess around with trading in-game and stuff because of Spinda being broken, because somehow they found a developer more awful at their job than Game Freak seems to be at times. Like, I spent a while trying to find Spinda on my own, and then gave up on it, and I think I just used one of the generator sites, or Twitch channels, just, like, give me one, because it was just like, this is stupid. I should just be able to transfer mine over from Pokemon Home, but you can't, because they screwed it up. Like, I understand that Spinda has a weird mechanic for how it generates the pattern on it, so, like, you know, if there's a Pokemon they were gonna fuck up, it was gonna be Spinda, but also, like, how many games after Spinda was added to the franchise has Game Freak done and they didn't manage to fuck it up? So, like, come on. Because I think Spinda was Gen 3? It had to have been Gen 3, because it wasn't Gen 2 or before, and it wasn't Gen 4 after. So, you know, the Gen 4 games, the Gen 5 games, the Gen 6 games, the Gen 7 games, all of those games all have this, and they didn't fuck it up. So, like, what are you doing, Ilka? Which also sucks, because that means I basically have no... Not even basically, currently I have no way to shiny hunt Spinda. Because even if I were to, like, get a shiny Spinda at all, I still wouldn't be able to transfer it over to Pokemon Home. So, like, you know. But yeah, I can't wait to see what all is in, what all is going to be in Scarlet and Violet. Just knowing that, like, a lot of the Gen 6 Pokemon are in is really awesome. I will say, I think I said before at some point that I might have, that I thought Furfrou was confirmed for Scarlet and Violet. It's actually not been confirmed yet, which is a shame, because I would really like to get all of the hairstyles done. So we'll see if I can do that. You beat Elite Four. Sorry, by the way, I did see this a while ago. I just, like, kept on not reading it because I was off on my own rant. You beat Gen 4 with competitive legendaries transferred in. Yeah, I mean, like, there are easy ways to do it. I think I beat Cynthia on my first try, but it was, like, there was a lot of grinding you had to do before, like, fighting the Elite Four even, because it was just, like, And then even through the Elite Four, the levels jump a shit ton. The levels jump like 10 or 12 levels by the time, from like the start of the Elite Four to Cynthia. It's like, okay, difficulty is welcome, but like, don't do it in the stupidest possible way, please. Though that does remind me also, back in the in Pokemon Heart Gold, I only beat the Elite Four on my first try because I had a one of my friends had traded me like a level, I don't remember if it was level 100 or not. But it was a very high level Empoleon, and I had it in my party just because it's like, yeah, you know, I'll be my my safety net for doing other stuff. Kind of forgot about it when I went into the Elite Four, and then it ended up being my last Pokemon. And so I was like, well, I guess I beat him, but like, that was kind of made it feel a little bit cheap because it was way over leveled for it. But also my logic at the time was kind of like, well, yeah, like that's why I beat it, but also if I had had like a normal or like more reasonably leveled Pokemon at the time in that spot, I still probably would have beaten him anyways. It's just it happened to be that one that was overpowered because I had as my backup. Whoops. But I mean, that was still way back when I would be like, oh, this is a fire-type Pokemon, so I should probably have, like, all fire-type moves, right? Yeah, that was I'm ashamed to admit how long that strategy lasted in my mind for Pokemon. Although, to be fair, between Heart Gold and Let's Go Eevee, I didn't really play much Pokemon at all. Alright, about halfway into this. Actually, after these eggs, we will be exactly halfway on the shiny hunt for the night. But at least now, even if I still don't really use any of, like, the stat, any of the stat moves, or really anything that isn't an attacking move, I do at least vary up my typings a little bit. And, like, consider if something is more of a special or a physical attacker. At times. Sometimes I ignore it, because it's like, well, I'm doing a just normal playthrough, so doesn't really matter most of the time. Lugia still ain't shiny. You'll get it eventually. I assume you're doing resets for it. I've probably asked this about Lugia in the past too. I just don't remember if that's the same one as before or whatever. Yeah. Not looking forward to doing resets for Legends or for Arceus and Darkrai. That is gonna be a rough time. Oh, sorry. I see what you mean. Dynamax Adventures. Yeah, Dynamax Adventures ain't always bad. But yeah, the AI, yeah, especially with, like, Pokemon, not like Lugia isn't like this, fortunately, but Pokemon that only have a single typing, like Suicune, it's just like, cool. So there's no easy way to just, like, nuke them down. Though it isn't always true either, because, like, with Zygarde, in theory, you know, use ice moves and you can do a lot of damage really quick to it, but it's still Zygarde and it still does evil, mean things to your party. But yeah, I really hope we see something like Dynamax Adventures return. Obviously, Dynamax as a mechanic isn't coming back, and yeah, we'll see. But just like, if most of the mechanic to that is the same, just like with Terrastalize or whatever instead, and the AI doesn't suck, it'll be a lot more enjoyable. Still other things they need to do. If you're doing it in single player, there should not be any sort of time limit to it. Great to see they improved the dens in the new games. Yeah, I mean, that's only been according to the representative from, you know, from Game Freak, but hopefully they do understand that just like raids and Sword and Shield were just like, no. Just, God, the AI. Like, at least the normal raids, you can just, like, bring in something overpowered and nuke it down, but... But I am hopeful that they are, that was accurate what they said. The weird thing is the whole, like, stab thing. So, same type attack bonus. If you Terrastalize, so, like, say Stunfisk, for instance, Steel Ground type, or Galarian Stunfisk anyways. Say you make it electric typing, or you Terrastalize it to the electric typing. You will get the stab for the electric typing, but even though you won't have the weaknesses that would come with ground or steel, you also still get stab for ground or steel. So it's you only have weaknesses for the electric typing at that point, but you still get the stab for all three typings, which is a little weird. But it does also kind of make sense why if you Terrastalize to a type that you already had, you get like double stab for that type. But yeah, Adventures would have been better if you could bring in your own mons. Yeah, hopefully because they make the AI better, they will let you do that now. Because I mean, part of the reason why you couldn't do that before is they didn't want you to just bring in a Pokemon and just nuke stuff down. But if the AI is going to be better, so they can also make the battles kind of more difficult, so you might need to actually bring in like a prepared party, then the Adventures could be pretty good. But we'll see. Again, we don't know if they're going to return or not. I think it's probably safe to say they're not returning in the base game. We'll see if that's a thing in a DLC or whatever. Actually, it'd be cool if it was just like a free update, kind of like the Daybreak update for Legends Arceus. I am still kind of disappointed about it being confirmed that if you do the like auto battle mechanic in Scarlet and Violet with the Let's Go thing, where you like throw out a Pokemon and it'll run out and battle stuff for you and like collect materials and stuff, that it will just like, it doesn't care if it's a shiny or not, it'll just straight up knock out the shiny. And it's just like, okay, well, guess what mechanic just became completely useless, because no way in hell am I ever gonna risk letting the game just auto knock out a shiny. I am good, thanks. I will use that as little as possible to get TMs if I absolutely need them, and that's it. Terra Charizard to Fire. Yeah, I mean, you can do it. Actually, I feel like a lot of dual type Pokemon are actually going to benefit a lot from that. Oh, I hadn't even thought about that. Because especially if it's something like, I'm trying to think of what fire would share a weakness with. But like, anyways, but it's just like stuff where like it would have a 4 times weakness to something, but now you can terrestrialize and get rid of that weakness, or half of that weakness anyways, and also now one of your attacks does a lot more damage as well. That's that seems pretty good. That the terrestrialize stuff could be really cool, or it's gonna be very bad for the meta. I don't think there's gonna be much in between for it. Terra Xerneas to Fairy Seal. Well, but again, if you Terra, it just is a single type. You can't, like, pick one type to change over or anything. It just becomes a single type Pokemon for whatever your Terra typing is. Also, who knows right now if you'll even be able to do it with legendaries. Because I could absolutely see that being a thing that they restrict. Confirmed. I pretty much, yes, I'm pretty sure. Because otherwise, like, you know, otherwise, which typing is it going to swap and stuff like that? Yeah, I'm about like 99% certain that it's confirmed that it just swaps to a single type. Actually, I wonder if anyone played around with it in any of the preview stuff. Someone probably did. Either like using it themselves or battle. Well, I know people battled Terralize or Terrestrialized Pokemon, so in theory, it should be somewhere in there. But yeah, I feel like it's been confirmed for quite a while that that's how that's gonna work. Alright, 110 more eggs tonight. I'd be so happy if we can get this in one stream. Just one and done for the Stunfisk. That would be about par for the course for a Stunfisk, because who the fuck cares about Stunfisk? But even Galarian Stunfisk I don't think is anything too interesting in terms of competitive stuff. Actually, I didn't even bother looking up, like, what builds people run for this. Usually I, like, care about, like, the stats a little bit, or the IVs, but I think for the time being, I'm just not going to worry about it. Unfortunately, this is one where if I get multiple shinies, like if I get the shiny, and then it's like, okay, well, I'll wrap up the rest of the eggs, then like, if I get another shiny, it's gonna really suck because I don't need multiple Galarian Stunfisk. I guess I can trade it, but it's still so weird to me that the GTS doesn't let you, like, pick... like, you can't, like, specify that, like, you have to get a shiny in return on the GTS, which is so weird. I would assume it's because it's, like, they're trying to restrict, like, they're trying not to encourage people to do, like, generated Pokemon and stuff like that. Or, like, really stupid trades where people want, like, you know, a level 100 shiny Mewtwo in return for a level 5, Wurmple or some shit. But honestly, as much as people complain about that shit, like, oh, GTS is bad and it's just a bunch of stupid fucking trades, there's no point to it. It's like, honestly, it's kind of fine. Honestly, I don't know. I've not had a whole lot of issues with it. I don't use it a whole lot, and some of that's just because, again, it doesn't really do all the things I want it to, but, like, I don't notice a lot of the stupid trades. But I imagine it's the same thing as, like, why you can't trade mythic Pokemon. It's just like, yeah, they don't want you generating Pokemon or anything. And they just know if they do that, there's going to be a lot of people generating Pokemon to trade for legit shinies and shit like that. I really should join, like, some sort of shiny hunting Discord or something. Because having a few shinies to trade away, it'd be nice to, like, trade for some stuff. Especially if I could, like, trade someone my couple of extra Galarian Zigzagoon that are shiny. I could trade them for, like, the Hoenn Zigzagoon. So trade, like, a Galarian Zigzagoon and a Galarian Linoon for the normal Zig and Linoon. That would be pretty nice. Would be same if they introduced a mechanic where if they have a strong enough bond, you can tell your Pokemon to dodge opponent's attacks. Well, they basically do. And Let's Go Eevee and BDSP, there's the whole friendship thing, where at high friendship, sometimes you'll dodge attacks or you'll heal yourself with status just randomly, or you'll survive an attack that would knock you out with 1 HP without, like, Sturdy or the item that does that. You don't really get to choose to do it. And thank God that mechanic is not in competitive at all. But yeah, I mean, that kind of is a mechanic, and a lot of people don't like it. Which, I understand why people don't like it in BDSP, because the whole friendship thing in BDSP is annoying as hell. Because it's, it tells you at the beginning of every single turn, you get some sort of dumb flavor text at the bottom. I just, like, I don't need to see this every single fucking turn, guys. Shut the fuck up. Why? Why did they get rid of that? That's pretty... I mean, they didn't get rid of it. It was in BDSP. I think it was in this game, too. I don't remember. If it was, it wasn't very common to happen. And it wasn't Let's Go. It wasn't in Legends Arceus, but Legends Arceus is all so far off into its own thing that it's, you know, that isn't too surprising. But without a way to turn it off, like, that's the big thing. That's the same thing with, like, I don't mind the Team EXP share. You know, I love that, but you should be able to turn it off, because I get that some people don't like having that. And BDSP probably shouldn't have had it at all, seeing so they didn't, like, adjust the game for having it. Which is part of why everything up until the Elite Four was kind of easy. And then you get to Elite Four and, like, they, you know, actually have some strategies and, you know, plan for having a decent level team and not being completely over-leveled. And it's like, oh shit, the game's actually difficult all of a sudden. God damn. Having zero friendship, oh no, what have you done? That's the other thing, they got rid of Return and Frustration, which sucks. Because those were like, you know, Frustration with zero friendship was useful at least. I don't know if it was, like, typically worth using, but it was an option. But you can't even do that anymore. I assume they just wanted to get rid of that for online stuff or whatever, but they could have just made that a move that you're not allowed to use it online. I don't know. Though I'm sure they also probably wanted to get rid of the intentionally having low friendship with a Pokemon. I'm sure they didn't want to deal with any drama with that. I mean, it is a little bit weird that in a series where at pretty much every possible opportunity, Pokemon will beat you over the head with the Pokemon are our friends, they're our allies, we should love and, you know, take care of them and blah, blah, like every 2 damn seconds that you take a step. And it's like, oh my god, just let me battle shit, please, for the love of fuck, shut up. So it is weird that, like, also at the same time, you also had frustration, which gives you a benefit to having the lowest possible friendship, which means letting your Pokemon get knocked out and stuff. It also does suck that we're never, or probably never gonna get a rival again. That's, their entire existence is just to be an asshole to you, like Silver in Gen 2. Though, Betty, however the fuck you say his name in this game, he was a massive fucking douchebag, so I guess mission accomplished there. Gary. Yes, but Gary would have been before Silver, because Gary would have been Gen 1. I guess it has been so long that it's like, it's less that, oh, we're not ever going to get another, and more like, that was a one-off thing where you had a rival that was just a massive asshole. So that was the thing, though, right? Like, because eventually he does realize that the reason why he's having, like, some issues getting better is because he's treating his Pokemon like shit. And then so he stops treating them like shit, and then all of a sudden stuff like, you know, his Golbat becomes a Crobat because now it has friendship and stuff like that. Like, there's some neat stuff with that, but, you know, we won't see that again because Pokemon needs to be so beyond family friendly now that it's just like, can't have anything bad. Hop and the dude from Ultra Sun and Moon pissed me off the most. Yeah. I mean, I will say, I like that event, like, Hop kind of does have a character arc. But yeah, him spending, like, 80% of Sword and Shield moaning about how he keeps on losing. It's like, dude, fucking shut up. But yeah, I didn't get I think I got like halfway into the Gen 7 games. I think it was Ultra Moon probably or something like that. I was just like, okay, I'm good. I think I still needed to get Crabominable or whatever. The, like, evolved form of Crabrawler, and that was like the one Pokemon I still needed. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna trade for it. I'm not gonna hunt for this anymore. This is just like, I can't play any more of this game. It might have been more tolerable, but the fact that I was basically playing the entire game for like a handful of Pokemon for my living dex was just like, ended up sapping any fun that would have been there out of it. Wally sort of did that but by the end of the game, he became a badass. Is Wally Gen 3? Because that's like, it's one of the ones that I never played any of. I've played a little of Gen 1, if you consider Let's Go Eevee. Oh, and yeah, so Gen 3. And then, yeah, I've played Gen 2, both the originals and the remakes. And then Gen 3, I just never played any of. In fact, yeah, Gen 3 is the only one I've not played any of, like, those titles at all. Because, again, Let's Go Eevee is, like, basically Gen 1. It's not exactly the same, but the story's similar. But the, yeah, I never played through Ruby Emerald or Ruby Sapphire Emerald. Or the Gen 1 remakes, Fire Red and Leaf Green. I never played, Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire either. I really hope... I know I've said this a couple times, but I really hope the emulator for Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance that's confirmed, like there's an internal emulator for those platforms for the Switch that Nintendo has. I really hope we see like Nintendo Switch Online stuff for like the old Pokemon games for at least those consoles come out. I know the DS and the 3DS stuff is going to be kind of hard to do because it's multiple screens, and so, like, how, you know, they're probably going to take their sweet dear time figuring out how they're going to lay that out, but especially, like, GBA, I mean, that's going to work pretty damn well on a Switch, I feel like. Back in my new days, I hunted Ho-Oh in Gen 2 for, like, 1100 resets. Was Ho-Oh shiny locked? Were shiny locks even a thing in Gen 2? It might have been, because I mean, the shiny mechanics in Gen 2 are all over the fucking place. What is it? The egg that you can get like Magby or Elekid or like a couple others from has like a 1 in 14 chance of being shiny and shit like that. And all like the breeding mechanic stuff. But I don't remember there being shiny locks for that stuff that early. Plus, after, actually, I don't remember what the shiny odds were. Starting at least in Gen 3, shiny odds were 1 in 8,000 base rate. So I was gonna say, that's, like, not even that bad in the grand scheme of things, if it wasn't shiny locked. But I don't remember how it would have worked in Gen 2. Again, the Gen 1 and Gen 2 were kind of a mess. Gen 2 made it a lot better, but then, again, the shiny stuff and shinies are based on the... what effectively are the IVs, and so only certain stats are possible in, you know, certain things. It's just like, fuck. But then also because of that, like, because stats, or because shininess is based on IVs, the equivalent of IVs, they weren't IVs yet. If you have a shiny already and you breed with it, like, you have significantly better odds to get another shiny from the eggs. You had shiny Moltres and Fire Red, and as soon as you got it, your game froze. Oof. I've only had a couple issues with Pokemon games crashing or freezing or whatever. As in, like, BDSP crashed the very first time I tried to start it. As soon as, like, you get through, like, the intro stuff with Professor Oak, it, like, crashed. And then I had a few crashes with Legends Arceus. All of them were in the Icelands area. But that doesn't surprise me that there was, like, crashes in Gen 3. Because, you know, the amount of exploits that you can do and get away with in those games was, especially, like, Gen 4, getting, like, through the walls and stuff and accessing some of the Pokemon and stuff that you weren't supposed to be able to get to yet. And then you could do it again in the BDSP remake because holy fuck, the menu system in that game was so broken at launch. I just love how pretty much every exploit in BDSP before it was updated, the way you accessed it or you started it was pressing buttons in rapid succession in the menus, and it causing like a duplicate menu glitch. It's just like, come on, guys. How do you fuck this one up? I mean, I'm not complaining because I got a whole bunch of rare candies and Master Balls out of it, but... Which reminds me, I'm actually kind of low on rare candies in BDSP right now. Like, I thought I had a whole bunch of them, and then I started working on, like, alternate forms for the living decks, and I've burned through a lot of them. A lot. But I think I think I should just about have them all. I only have... There's only a couple that I have left for the, like, alternate sex forms anyways. So, you know, I shouldn't need too many more rare candies. Meanwhile, I still have, like, 200 Master Balls that I will probably never use because it's, you know, since I'm not really going to be doing much more hunting in those games. Sorry, it's a random thing, but you didn't realize until we got Legends and BDSP so close, but the feeling of starting a new adventure is amazing. Yeah. That was, like, one nice thing, having, like, wrapping up BDSP and getting some shiny hunts done, and then immediately hopping into Legends Arceus. Especially Legends Arceus. You know, like, being a completely new experience almost. Yeah, that was a ton of fun. It's part of why I'm hyped for Scarlet and Violet, because we know it's going to be, you know, similar to Legends Arceus, but also it's more kind of back in the direction of the other games, but that means it's still going to be a very unique experience now. Watch Twitch streamers sit there for like an hour just resetting the game as a pre-download, waiting for it to finally launch. Yeah, I didn't have much trouble with that. Maybe I got lucky, but I think yeah. So I didn't stream the night that Legends Arceus came out, so I started it a little bit after, like, I think after work or something, just to, like, get an idea of what I was doing, and then the next night I started streaming it. And then BDSP only took like 5 minutes after it was supposed to be live before it actually launched. Because they do, it is a thing where it is like a rolling, rollout, I guess. That's a weird way to phrase it, but like, not everyone is able to go live in the game at the same time. Just to, like, kind of keep some of the load off the servers, I guess. As, like, it tries to authenticate everyone's, like, starting the game for the first time. Which makes sense. As long as it doesn't take too long. It's not too bad. It does definitely suck, though, if, like, you want to stream it. It's like, okay, cool, I'm just sitting here for an hour waiting. Like, people trying to play Overwatch 2 and being stuck in the queue for it. And it's like, well, that's cool. I do love how, after my last stream where I complained about, support or healer classes in Final Fantasy XIV being like, I just, like, hate how much, like, DPS you're expected to do as part of them. And then I'm hearing about, Overwatch 2 and, like, the game is almost unplayable right now because no one wants to play support because it just sucks. And also, apparently, your teammates expect you to do all of their jobs and also fucking heal, and it's just like, okay. That is one problem with, like, games like that, is, like, you get so many people who just, like, face rush everything and don't understand, like, no, you need to be able to, like, play with the team, otherwise the healer can't fucking help you. It's not the healer's fault if you fucking dive straight into a 5-man in their spawn. Like, that's your own damn problem. If you don't, you know, if you can't behave, then okay, you get to spend a lot of time in a loading screen. But then that sucks for the rest of the team because now the rest of the team is fighting a 4v5 because you can't behave. One of many reasons why I don't like doing online competitive content at, like, all, and barely even, like, co-op content at this point. Definitely would kill, though, for a proper, like, new Mass Effect multiplayer. without, like, the jetpacks and shit that they added to fucking Andromeda. Just give me God, just give me remastered Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Why they didn't, like, include that in the Legendary Edition, I don't understand. Well, I know why, because they didn't want to do, like, the trouble of updating the multiplayer shit. But there are excuses about it. Oh, well, you know, how do we justify it for, like, people who have been playing the original version and now they would get all their shit reset? It's like, well, it's a new version, so, like, I don't know, if they have, like, a bunch of achievements or whatever, or a bunch of time in the Mass Effect 3, then give them a bunch of free shit to start. But, like, also, like, who cares? Like, it's a new title, so deal with it. Especially if it, like, gets a really good, like, remaster to it, and maybe, like, adds, you know, a couple new guns or something. It doesn't have to be anything too much, but I mean, fuck, half the fun of, like, the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was, like, ranking up your shit over time, because you just, you know, you do a lot of battles, and then you keep buying packs, and you keep getting more shit. I feel like that was one of the early games, too, where obviously other games have done it, but it was a thing where it's like, hey, you're getting free DLC, because all of these people who keep on buying packs with real money are basically bankrolling the experience for everyone else. Is like awesome. Like, it was definitely, looking back on it, the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was definitely geared in such a way that it's like, it very much encouraged you if you wanted to make much progress to, or not much, but I mean, if you really, you know, you definitely could speed it up a lot by buying packs instead of just playing matches, but it also, like, you know, there was really no, like, paywall, you know? You just have to play more, and honestly, it wasn't that grindy, and, like, it was so much fun to play that you didn't really care, you know? God, we need proper Mass Effect multiplayer again. Because that's the thing that killed Andromeda for me, was having the jetpacks and you jump around, and the map design is completely irrelevant because you just go wherever the fuck you want now, instead of having to kind of learn the maps a little bit and, you know, understand how do you, you know, do your kiting and, you know, not get surrounded by enemies and stuff. And it was all so much fun. Do you have Shiny Charm, by the way? Yes, I do. Should be in the title. Yeah, Masuda plus Shiny Charm. So yeah, we're at 1 in 512 odds. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I mean, I guess, didn't read the title. Don't worry. A lot of people don't. But also, it is kind of in there on, like, the back end of the title. It might actually be behind, like, a, you know, where, like, trails off and it does the ... thing or something. No worries, man. You're good. But yeah, no. Besides the fact that Andromeda was, like, not as good as the other Mass Effects, and I don't know, I didn't enjoy it as much. Like, it was still a fun game, but it was also, you know, it's one of those games where it's like, did this really need to be open world, guys? Like, to this extent? Like, I know they are trying to recapture the experience of Mass Effect 1, but, like, also, looking back on it, I think Mass Effect 2 kind of hit the sweet spot there, where it's like, yeah, you go to a bunch of worlds, but also, like, they aren't these barren, open planets where, like, you run around collecting minerals. But I don't know. But yeah, the multiplayer in Mass Effect Andromeda just, like, it never grabbed me at all. One day I need to go back and, like, actually finish Mass Effect Andromeda. I did pretty much all the side content first, which is probably why I trailed off on it. So I was down to, like, just the story. And by that point, I stopped playing it. Also, there was an update at some point in it where it completely broke the UI. So instead of, like, I'll show it in a second. Hopefully I can kind of show it in this. Let's see. So let's say, like, so the the connectivity thing in the bottom left on the screen here with the Y on it. Right, so that stuff is all like scaled across the screen. The update in Mass Effect Andromeda broke it, and everything was collapsed into the middle. Vertically, it was still correct, but sideways, the entire HUD was collapsed into the middle of the screen. And it was just like, okay, cool, well, this is no longer playable. Guess I'll wait for an update, and by the time the update came, which probably wasn't too long, but it's just like, I think the thing was I had already kind of trailed off, and then there was an update. I was like, oh shit, I need to go back to that, and then never went back to that. Well, I tried to, and then got fucked, and then I never went back after that. So, alright, 60 more eggs tonight. Hopefully we get this. I do have more than 250 eggs, but we'll just save those for the next stream. That's just, you know, I accidentally collected too many. I wasn't really paying attention to it and went for too long, which is fine, because, like, I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, also, I mean, speaking of Mass Effect, I need to go back and still finish my playthrough of the Legendary Edition. What's up, Derpy Boy? Welcome back. But yeah, I forget where I'm at on my Mass Effect 1 thing. Also, Overworld Shinies would make my life so much easier. Well, you're gonna like Scarlet and Violet then, because Overworld Shinies are confirmed. We've not just like the representative confirmed it. The guy from Cerebi actually just straight up found a shiny during his preview of the game. So, they are confirmed again. Thank God. It was so nice. Like, that was such a nice thing in Let's Go Eevee, and then it went away in Sword and Shield, and everyone went, come on. And then they came back in Legends Arceus, and everyone went, well, maybe we'll get him again. And yeah, they're confirmed now, so thank God. But we don't know yet if there's going to be like a very obvious audio or visual cue like there is in Legends Arceus. The Cerebi didn't say that there was, that they noticed, but they also said that it's possible they just, because of the way they approach the Pokemon and all that, they might have just not seen it. Ow. You got shiny Mawile yesterday? Nice. Is Mawile a good one? I don't know that shiny off the top of my head. I say that like I know many shinies off the top of my head. But that's awesome. Congrats, man. Turns red. Ah, okay. So it could be good. It's not like a puke green one. Though sometimes the red doesn't look good. Like the shiny Solgaleo looks pretty rough. Because it's just like, it's too red. And it's just like, there needed to be some like alternate tones going on here or something, guys. Meanwhile, you got Lunala that looks like sick as a shiny. Did I move Pokemon? Yes, okay. Skaroopy is blinding red. Yeah, it's still like a decent one. And then there's Drapion, where the shiny is not very obvious at all. I guess maybe that's why I'm more generous to Skaroopy, because it's at least you can tell that it's shiny. Yeah, green seems to be like the worst shiny color. It always just seems to be like... There are some exceptions, but for the most part, it's just like, ugh. Like Weirdeer and Stantler are just like, what were we thinking here, guys? Especially Weirdeer, because it's like, come on. Like, okay, you screwed up Stantler, but you had a chance to make it right with Weirdeer, and you just, like, swing and a miss. But then some of the greens are okay. Like, even though, I don't know, a lot of people hate them anyways, I guess just because they're green. But, like, I like Scissor Shiny. I like Espeon Shiny, because it looks like an alien. Teddiursa. I think Teddiursa is one of the okay, like, the weird, like, light, not fully saturated green. Because it, being that it's a Teddiursa, it kind of looks like, you know, just like a teddy bear. It's a weirdly colored one, but, like, it works. It is one of those, like, off-green ones that does work pretty well. Yeah, I was disappointed with the Cleaver Shiny. It isn't bad, but it's not it's just not as good as Scissor was. I guess Scyther doesn't have a very good shiny either, so I guess it just runs in that family. Because again, people disagree with me on the Scissor looking good. I think as long as it's like a, you know, kind of vibrant green and it looks like intentionally done, it's okay. But when it's like that weird, like, sick green, it's just like, eh. Watching the Pokemon anime, Gigantamax Pokemon, they sound horrifying. Oh. I will just never get over the fucking... Oh my god, I have to look it up now. The fucking Electabuzz in the anime. Hold on.
I choose Electabuzz! Pikachu, give him your
That fucking cry. That's not even like the best one. There's one where like the trainer is fucking hilarious too. Electabuzz, use the Thunderbolt. It's just like, what the fuck is this anime? Regigigas in the anime sounds like a Windows computer crashing. That sounds about right for a Regigigas. But yeah, some of the cries in the anime are fucking good. Hey, yo, what the fuck? Yeah, hey, welcome to Electabuzz in the anime. It's hilarious. I need to make that an alert. Oh my god, there we go. Hold on a second. We're writing that down. I've been wondering what I was going to do for a sound effect for alerts. That's, like, too good. At least until I get DMCA'd by Nintendo, and then we worry about it later. And favorite is Regice. I don't really know many of the Reggie cries. Hey, thank you, Pokefan Benny. Thank you for the follow. I didn't realize, but the Executor cry is kind of creepy in the anime. Yeah, I haven't watched much of the anime, so like I don't know many of these, like how they are. It's just I've heard that Electabuzz one come up before on like other people's streams and stuff, and it's just like, oh my god. I think it was like someone like it was like a reaction stream or something like that, and someone up there sent that in, and they just like, oh my god. I do kind of like how, in, Legends Arceus, they, like, reverted, Eevee's cry to, like, the original cry, instead of, like, it saying Pikachu. Because it is, like, kind of a funny thing where, like, in the anime, you know, everything's a lot of the cries, anyways, are, based on the name of the Pokemon. Whereas in the games, it's, like, has nothing to do with it. Goldeen, Cloyster, and Exeggutor all have this super creepy cry. Interesting. Have I heard Dracovish's anime cry? I have not. God, it's still so disappointing that we didn't, like... in, like, Crown Tundra or something, we didn't get, like, the original, like, correct versions of the fossil Pokemon before they got mangled by Careless. Because all of them just look like they're in pain. But, I don't know, there is that, supposedly there's some sort of, like, ancient and future versions of Pokemon in, the new games. So maybe we could see, ancient versions of those, the Galarian fossil Pokemon that'll actually be, like, correct. That'd be pretty neat. It would still kind of suck that it took an entire generation to get those, but it would be a neat way to do it. But we still haven't seen anything about that supposed mechanic. It's only been in, like, leaks, and those same leaks also said there is a future and an ancient version of Gallade, when it seems more like that was probably what Armarouge and Ceruledge are. So, like, we'll see. Less than 30 days till Scarlet Violet? Yeah. 23rd? So yeah, I mean, just a little bit under 30 days. Like 25, 26, something like that. The G-Max Colossal, or however you sell it, sounds like a demon. Well, to be fair, the G-Max Pokemon in Sword and Shield are kind of awful cries, just because it's base boosted into Oblivion. Like, I get they wanted them to sound very loud, but also it's just obnoxious how loud they are. Like, when I'm doing raids or whatever, when I'm streaming, it's like I can't talk during the cry because it just, like, is so overpoweringly loud. So, really, anything the anime did with that couldn't be any worse than the in-game version. But yeah, I can't wait for Scarlet Violet. I really hope there's normal breeding in it. I'm very scared about that, because we haven't seen anything except for you get eggs from the picnics sometimes, but if that's like the only way the breeding works, ooh, that's gonna be a bad time for those of us who like breeding for shinies. But on the flip side, there seems to be a number of ways to increase shiny odds in, like, encounters, and we do have overworld shinies, so that's nice. And it seems like there's probably just going to be, you know, they're expecting them to be more common, because there is that line on the trainer card that is for shiny Pokemon battled. Like, not even like shiny Pokemon obtained, like is in this game, but how many you've actually battled. So it seems like that's going to be a much more emphasized feature. So we'll see, but it's going to be exciting regardless, and playing through the game, I'm sure, is going to be a blast. Alright, come on, Stunfisk. Give me a shiny. I would love to just have this be a one-and-done stream for this thing. Let me see here. I just want to try and show this off. So yeah, I have not updated this card in like forever, by the way. That's why it only says 2 shiny Pokemon found. But yeah, in Scarlet and Violet, that line will say shiny Pokemon battled. So it's actually, I guess it's possible it could be the same thing, but I don't know. It seems to be like emphasizing that you're going to be battling a lot more shinies. Which also kind of makes me worry about breeding. If, you know, again, maybe there's not really going to be breeding anymore. I mean, they have made it almost obsolete at this point, you know. Because you have bottle caps, you have nature mints, you have ability patches and ability capsules. You know. The only thing we're really missing is a way to set an IV to 0. And, you know, that, I mean, that could just be like a rusted bottle cap or something. But if shiny Pokemon are as common as in Arceus, who cares? I mean, I still like breeding, even besides that. Like, I would have liked to see breeding in Legends Arceus. And again, like, it is nice to be able to, like, breed for a Pokemon and not have to use any items to get good stats and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's... As long as there's good shiny hunting, it's not too big of a deal. But also, it would be a shame to see breeding go away, especially with how long it's been a mechanic, and just to have it kind of be removed almost entirely. To be fair, we still don't even know how the picnic stuff works, right? Like, it could be that somehow is going to be like a proper replacement for it, and maybe we'll get eggs plenty fast, and, you know, you'll still have control over stats and stuff, but... It would just be a shame to see it go away. You have no idea why you thought Halloween was on the 25th? Yeah, I don't know on that one. Were you confusing it with Christmas or something? But, yeah. Seems like it. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Regardless, I think shiny hunting is going to be pretty good in Legends Arceus. We know it was good in that game. It should be pretty good in Scarlet and Violet. And if there's anything like outbreaks in it, then yeah, it's going to be fantastic. But yeah, I mean, we do know that the sandwiches, there's a lot of boosts that you get to, like, what stuff spawns in encounters and stuff like that, or is available to spawn in encounters and stuff. And one of the things with it is it boosts the you can boost the shiny rate, which is awesome. The first open world Pokemon game, yeah, pretty much. I mean, they did confirm that the towns are their own instanced areas, which is fine, honestly, because it lets the towns look a lot better, and you don't need to worry about the stuff spawning in the world and shit. But yeah, I mean, other than that, pretty much it seems like the entire world, other than towns, is one big open area, which is... As long as there's plenty of stuff to do in it, that's awesome. You can definitely have it be, you know, not awesome, and it's like a giant open world, but also it's just barren. But I don't think that's going to be an issue from what we've seen. Because it has been confirmed also that, like, even when, like, it seems like, for instance, in one of the trailers it showed off, like, there was a Jigglypuff that was glowing, and it was to, like, indicate that, hey, this is a special, like, terrestrialized battle. Not necessarily a raid battle, but, like, a special, like, that Jigglypuff can terrestrialize. And it was noted, like, there's no other Pokemon around this thing, though, so, like, what's kind of going on here? This seems kind of barren. But it's been kind of confirmed that, like, no, that was just, they specifically wanted to emphasize that Jigglypuff and not have anything distracting it. So in that specific build that they used of the game, they made sure that they were all gone. Exiting Poke Center and wild Snorlax camping behind the corner and waiting to attack. Yeah, I mean, there's the Poke Centers in the open areas, though, are, like, just, like, you know, open. Like, it's not like a building or anything. It's just like a big, I can't even think of, like, the word to say it, but it's just like a vendor stall, almost. I think I didn't count the last one. So, like, that could happen that, like, you run to a Poké Center and then turn around, there's a Pokemon right there. I assume it'll be, well, actually, being that there is co-op, I was gonna say, I assume it'll, like, stop time when you're in that, but if it's co-op, then kind of can't do that. But I'm sure there's, like, a radius around the Poké Centers where if you get close enough, stuff, like, starts ignoring you. Also, it doesn't seem like it's going to be the same as, like, Legends Arceus, where, like, the Pokemon attack you personally. It is going to be a thing where, like, you do, like, you run into them to encounter them. But you can also, you can throw out your Pokemon, like, you can throw your Pokemon and its Pokeball at them, and if you get, like, a backstrike, then it's, you get, like, a free attack at the beginning. It'd be cool if other trainer could see your Pokemon following you. I believe you can. I believe if you have your Pokemon out, the other people in your game can see it. Or at least they showed multiple trainers with multiple Pokemon following them. Or at least one Pokemon each following them in one of the trailers. So it seems like they've indicated you can do that. Gonna try to do what I always try to do in new Pokemon games. Leave one early game trainer and come back after you beat the game. Nice. Fucking roll up on youngster Joey with a fucking level 100 Arceus. Be like, hey, what up, bitch? How's that Rattata doing? I just hope there's... one thing I will say with the trainers they've also confirmed is that at least most trainers, you instead of, like, they see you and you automatically enter battle, you actually have to go up to them and talk to them to initiate a battle, which is really nice. And especially in a game that's going to have a lot of, like, exploration stuff. It would suck so much if, like, you're just exploring, all of a sudden it's like, hey, you, come over here and fight. And it's like, god damn it, I was, like, trying to look around. But I wish they would bring back, being able to, like, re-battle just, like, random trainers. Like the phone system in, Gen 2, or the Versus Seeker in Gen 4. I really like the phone thing in Gen 2. I know it got annoying having people call you all the damn time, but I really like the thing that people call you back, hey, yo, let's battle. Come on back over and we'll duke it out. It kind of sucked because, you know, you would forget who had called you and stuff like that, but I like that idea. It's interesting. You just saw in the anime they have G-Max as well as Mega. Yeah, that was the thing. Like, the mechanics kind of combine. Or not combine, but, like, they can compete with each other. The reason why they don't do that is the feature bloat, basically. At a certain point, if you keep on adding more and more and more features to the game, it's gonna start being a thing where it's like, well, you have like a dozen different like crazy weird mechanics that you can do at the same time. So that's why like Mega Evolutions probably aren't coming back. Dynamax won't coming back because Terra is replacing it. Like Z-moves, I don't know that anyone's really upset about Z-moves not coming back. I don't know that anyone's really upset about Dynamax not coming back. I think Mega's the only one people really cared about, but... But yeah, I think that seems to be why they aren't, like, continuing mechanics for more than, like, one game, because it's just... They can't keep on adding new mechanics to, you know, keep it interesting. And also keep the old ones. Be cool if they brought it back for a special battle. Yeah, it would be nice if there was, like, events or ways to do that occasionally, but I mean, we are talking about Game Freak here. It took them how many games after, like, we went from Pokemon Yellow version to Pokemon Heart Gold before we had Pokemon Follow Us again, and then Pokemon Heart Gold all the way to EDSP, or no, sorry, the DLC, the first Isle of Armor for Sword and Shield before we had Pokemon Follow Us again. So, you know, they're trying, but I'm not going to say that. I was going to say they're trying their best. No, they're not. But, like, you know, Game Freak is an interesting developer. The big thing is they don't hire enough staff. They, like, try and keep their company small, and it's like, you guys work on the biggest entertainment franchise in the history of anything. Just, like, hire up, please. Let's Go. Oh, sorry, that is right. It wasn't Isle of Armor. It was Let's Go had the brought back Pokemon following you. But yeah, Let's Go did so much, like, awesome stuff with, like, the games looked awesome. It, you know, it brought back some of the mechanics, and then Sword and Shield came out. It's just like, what happened? What happened? Why did features go away again? Why does it look so bad? Guys, what are we doing here? Like, at least with Legends Arceus, like, yeah, Legends Arceus looks like shit, but, like, you know, it's also a much larger world. Now, so is Breath of the Wild, so there's not much excuse there, but at least there's an excuse why it looks worse than the other Pokemon games. But, yeah, the, Let's Go really should have been the standard for, not battle mechanics, but, like, you know, everything else moving forward. But, you know, again, Game Freak happened, so... But we'll see. I mean, they were on the right track with Legends Arceus, and it seems like a lot of the really good ideas from Arceus they're carrying over to Scarlet and Violet. So, you know, hopefully the games are good. I mean, at the end of the day, the core gameplay loop of Pokemon is really hard for them to fuck up, so it's still probably going to be fun to play, even if it struggles graphically or is very linear and has a really stupid story, and, you know. One thing to mention is that some of the trailers, specifically the English trailers for Scarlet and Violet, there's been some really choppy animations for. Like, specifically one of the more recent ones, the Sunflora. There's like a whole pack of Sunflora following the trainer, and their animation is playing at like 10 FPS. But in the Japanese version of that trailer, the animation is a lot smoother. And so I believe it's been kind of confirmed that that the English trailer was using the older, like an older build that wasn't as optimized yet. And that's also, that older build was what all the people that were invited to the preview saw. I believe that's been confirmed. It is confirmed that, like, the, you know, the Japanese version of the trailer did look better. I believe that was, like, the confirmed reason for that. So, hopefully, the game coming out, it'll actually look a little bit better. But, I mean, again, you know, I played through Legends Arceus, and that was not a stellar-looking game. So, if I can suffer through that, I can absolutely suffer through something that's definitely... I mean, everything we've seen, even besides those animations, Scarlet and Violet definitely looks like it looks better than Legends Arceus, and probably even Sword and Shield. It's still not really on par with Let's Go yet, but, you know, again, being a much larger world, I'm going to be a lot more forgiving of that. Alright, 10 more eggs. Come on, Stunfisk. Help me out here, buddy. So yeah, I mean, I have a bunch more eggs here, but we're only going to do 10 more tonight. And we'll work on the rest of those later. It would be interesting if I got it in, like, the next few eggs here, because the last 3 hunts have all been, like, at the end of a... end of the stream? No, no, sorry. It wasn't the last 3. I don't know why I was thinking that's how, Zigzagoon went. But, last stream I got it within, like, the last few eggs that I was gonna hatch. Thank God. I was getting a little, worn down by that, Darumaka. Just, like, having another hunt that was going over odds was a little... I don't know. It was just like, come on, are we really doing this again? But, just like Zigzagoon, it only slightly went over odds. It wasn't like, Galarian Corsola, where it took me 1,600 eggs to get that goddamn thing. 1 in 512 odds, by the way. Alright, come on. I really do need to work on updating those drop-down cards. If I can get all that stuff updated before the new games are out, I'll just do it live. Kind of like how I did with the webcam frame. I just tweaked it a little bit. Made it so it has that rainbow effect for the borders now. Which took way longer than it should have. There's probably a much easier way to do it, but I did it the long way, and oh well, it'll work. That's how I got it to work, so... But yeah, because pretty much all of those drop-down cards are out of date right now. I mean, I guess the Living Dex is correct, because the new games aren't out yet, and the some of the other stuff is, but like the schedule stuff and the shiny decks are all out of date. Though again, I do have that like updated, not on the version that's on stream, just to like keep track of it, but... I just need to do it. I just need to turn some of that stuff off if I'm not going to have it updated yet. Alright, last 5 eggs here. So hey, if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so very much. If you can, go ahead and follow me on Twitch here. I do stream 5 times a week, Wednesday through Sunday. So I don't stream Mondays or Tuesdays. Typically going to be starting late night streams. A lot of these are starting around like 12:30. Earliest I'm going to be starting is probably around 11 p.m. And we generally go for like 2.5 or 3 hours. And yeah, you know, watch me get shinies live. That's pretty much all I do. Sometimes I do playthroughs and stuff. Mostly Pokemon. I'm going to work in some other stuff, but that'll happen after the new games are out. If you end up watching this as like the Twitch VOD, or if you want to watch any of my other VODs, go ahead over to my YouTube channel. I don't think I have a custom URL yet, but it's just Panicos on YouTube. Also, it's in my profile here on Twitch. And yeah, the VODs there are going to be a little bit higher quality than the streams here, because I get to, you know, use a little bit higher bitrate for the recordings, and also the YouTube player is just better. The Twitch player is not the greatest. It's not bad, it's just it has some annoyances that I don't like. And also the VODs only stay on Twitch for like 7 days, so that's not really a long-term solution. But not all, but pretty much all my VODs are on YouTube. So my playthroughs, Let's Go Eevee, Legends Arceus, Sword, or just Sword, I haven't played through Shield on stream. But when I do Scarlet as well, that'll be up there as well. And, of course, obviously, we'll be streaming that live as well. But yeah, 250 Stunfisk eggs. No shiny tonight. That's fine. That percentage underneath the counter over there, that is how likely I am to have seen at least one shiny tonight. So after 250 eggs, there's a 38.66% chance that at least one of them would have been shiny. So, you know, not that likely. I'm more likely to have not seen it than to have seen one. Yeah, we'll wrap up there. We'll start again tomorrow. Again, probably around 11:30ish. That's PM. And again, we'll go for like 2.5 hours. Or until we get the shiny. And that, that depends. If we get super quick, then I'll pivot to something else. Anyways, thank you everyone who watched. I really do appreciate it a lot, guys. Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching. And I'm like repeating myself 37 times. Anyways, I'll see you guys later.